Hello, guys. This is Brian J's Nerd Talk, and this is my review of Brandon Sanderson's book, The Lost Metal. It's the final book in Mistborn Era 2, which is 4 books, and this is just such an incredible book. I loved it. I really don't understand why so many people didn't like this book. I guess maybe there were too many characters, and some of the characters were like less wonderful than less amazing than some other characters, but there were so many great, wonderful moments between Wax and Wayne, especially in the final part of the book where, before they go back in the battle. Oh, spoilers, by the way. This is all spoilers. This is a spoiler review. But before they go back in the battle, they're just chilling and drinking, and Wayne is like rebuilding his health, like he's storing up his health and stuff. And the conversation between him and Wax is just so great. It was so wonderful. The final battle was really, really great. There was so many twists and turns. Not a lot of major twists, but, Kelsier is alive, which was confirmed in a novella that Brandon Sanderson wrote, that he released 7 years ago, back in 2016 after he was done writing the Bands of Mourning. So Kelsier is alive. He was helping out. He wasn't in a lot of the major events in this book. I wish he was. But yeah, the final part, the final chapter where Wayne sacrifices his life to save Elendil by stopping the bomb that was on transport on a boat. That was like a warship or whatever that was created by the set. And Wax's sister, Telsian, she was also kind of a disappointing villain. She didn't really do a whole lot. She wasn't really that much of a threat. But of course, there was the ending was really tragic because Wayne is like my favorite character in the book. Him and Wax, and Wayne sacrificed his life to save Elendil. He saved Wax. He pushed him off the boat, and then he detonated the explosion, which was 3 different explosives that made up the whole bomb or something. And Wayne sacrificed his life by blowing up the bomb and blowing himself up, but keeping the explosion really small. So there was a big tsunami, but it wasn't too bad, and the city wasn't badly damaged, and nobody seemed to have died. There wasn't a lot of casualties at all. And so, yeah, Wayne sacrificed his life, and so Wayne is dead. And when he died, he got to talk to Harmony, who is the god of Skadro, Sazed. He had a little conversation. He was like, I did it. I blew myself up. It was great. I sacrificed myself. And then he finally went on to the afterlife, the beyond that Brandon Sanderson calls it. And the epilogues are really great, very emotional. And yeah, Wax in this book was just such a great character. Wax and Wayne, such a great duo, such amazing characters that Brandon Sanderson created. I don't think Mistborn Era 2 is as great as Mistborn Era 1. That Era 1 was the first trilogy I've read that was the first great fantasy trilogy I've read that really blew me away. It was just so incredible. But Mistborn Era 2 ended great. I love The Lost Metal. It wasn't perfect. I could kind of see why it got some criticism, but I think if it wasn't for Brandon Sanderson creating such a high bar, I think this book would have gotten more love. Because I feel like people's expectations were probably a little bit too high. But this book, I think, is great. I give it a 9.5. It was mostly great, very well written, different twists and turns that were great. Some of the new characters were really cool that were introduced. Some of these characters that are working for, I think they're called the Ghost Bloods, I think. That are working under Kelsier. I thought some of those characters were really cool. Yeah, I thought it was mostly a great book. It was very well written. The ending was very sad, but also the epilogues were uplifting. It was great that Wayne got to sacrifice his life, and he gave, in his will, he gave $120 million to this woman who was a victim of his. He killed her father when he was 16. He was trying to rob this guy, and he accidentally killed him with a gun, and he felt guilty about it. So he took care of the daughter and the family with money, and then he got super rich, 7 years prior to this book, because he made smart investments in electricity and motor cars and other things that would end up becoming really super popular in 6 years. So his wealth and his money, he became the 4th richest person in Elendil. And so when he died, he gave all that money to the daughter, who is now fully grown, and she was struggling economically and has a daughter as well. She has a kid. So he gave all his money and his estate to her, and now she's the 4th richest person in Elendil. So we'll see what happens with her genealogy in Mistborn Era 3, which is supposed to come out in 2.5 years, I think, by 2025. But yeah, that was a great epilogue. That was very wonderful. And this was a great book. It was a satisfying conclusion for me. And I loved it. I give it a 9.5. And I'm looking forward to reading Mistborn Era 3, which should be starting in 2025 or 2026. And the next Brandon Sanderson book I'm going to start reading will be, I'm probably going to reread Trust of the Emerald Sea, and then I'm going to get started on the Stormlight Archive in like a month or two. So yeah, this is Brian J's Nerd Talk. This is my review of The Lost Metal by Brandon Sanderson. Fantastic book. This is Brian J's Nerd Talk. I'll talk to y'all later.